Thanks for joining us on NTA Tuesday Live.
Good evening, viewers. Thank you for having me here.
All right, now let's go down to the main issues. There's so many here, and I do know that almost all citizens are aware of issues of women, the special needs of women. And so, what we'll be discussing tonight is not new, but what's different here is the push to bring these issues to the front burner and to address them. And so let's begin from the premise of the theme of this year's International Women's Day.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. First, let me congratulate all the women, the girl child, everybody and all the supporters who've been pushing, as you say. This year's theme says equality, gender equality today, for tomorrow. And what that means to me, the way I choose to see that is that it's now bringing in the life cost perspective. Is looking at today as it's going to affect the future. And it's basically saying that within the context of the socio-cultural, political, and if you may, religious setting, that context has a way of affecting the stages of life of the woman. And I'm talking about childhood, I'm talking about adolescence, I'm talking about, adulthood, and I'm talking about old age.
All right.
So where you have unfair norms, and you have gender roles, and you have social contexts that do not unlock the potentials of the woman, then you're saying that the interventions that should have liberated that girl child or that woman are not there. And therefore, what happens is that there's going to be a trajectory of disadvantages, an accumulation of disadvantages. And what that does is that these accumulation, these trajectories, health trajectory, if you may, income security trajectory, if you may, functional capacity trajectory, if you may, and this goes on to later life. That's the National Senior Citizen Center. Right. That's where you have, poverty has the face of the woman. Majority, they are poor. So that is what this is saying to me, that interventions, like the women are pushing for legislation to compel intervention. In fact, not affirmation anymore, as far as I'm concerned, is transformation, alteration, so that now we are looking at a collective future. We are looking at how the trajectory of life, those necessary interventions, will now break the cycle, the systemic drivers of this marginalization. If we can break the cycle, whether it be through law reforms, whether it be constitutionally the best, because it will compel, state actors to know what to do, and that once you can break the cycle, it's about breaking the cycle.
Okay.
Once you break that cycle, then you bring the transformation, and then that trajectory now turns into advantage for the entire society.
Okay. Let's go over to Victor Arokoyo, Head of Programs, Christian Aid, UK, Nigeria. Well, Victor Arokoyo, you may be rightly described as a he for she, right? So let's hear you. What's your assessment of the situation of women in today's Nigeria? Yes, well, Victor Arokoyo, if you can hear me, let's hear your assessment of the situation of women in Nigeria today. Okay. All right. We'll fix that glitch as we go on, but yeah, it's still part of what we're discussing today. This is not a domestic issue. It is a global issue.
Yeah, it is.
So we would ask, in the scheme of things, where is Nigeria? What's the situation of women in Nigeria?
I would say that to some extent, the women in Nigeria have had, have seen some positive movements.
Right.
I should say they have seen some progress, somewhat, because of course you know that education-wise, although we are talking about school dropouts, you have many girls, but you do see that there are so many women that have opportunities to be in school. And even, the inclusive policy of especially this present government, giving opportunity, to the girl child, the school feeding program, giving opportunity and really drawing people in. So, and then, of course, when you look at political appointments,
Right.
we could say some progress. Now you have, if you look at this present administration as well, you could see some more women are being appointed. But at the same time, when you look at the population, looking at the population, and you're looking at 49.8% is women, almost cut in half, men and women the same. And you look at, for instance, the Senate, you look at the chambers, how many women do you find there? You look at the House of Representatives. So you will say that, yes, we have made some progress, but at the same time, there is so much more to be made. And then, of course, now women have the opportunity to speak up much more. Women are speaking up much more. You could see the push, you see the networking, you see, the associations of women, the resilience of women. And then, of course, you see when you talk about entrepreneurship, you also see women there in the financial sector. You see women, but at the same time, we are looking at a situation where you find structural. When you look at structurally, you know that the women have a fair chance. We are talking about equity here. But when you look at equity and you look at the population, you talk about fairness, and then you talk about, social justice, the women really have a right to seek for more.
Okay. Well, quite recently, the whole country was made aware go along with affirmative
action.
No,
Transformative.
now it's transformative.
It's transformative.
We're also aware of the setbacks suffered
Yes.
quite recently about the bills that was presented to the National Assembly.
Yes.
The House of Representatives is now going to take a second look at three of those bills. What's your take on that?
I know that you lose the battle, but you may not necessarily lose the war. And I also believe that this has somewhat worked out for good, because it has even brought more awareness. Maybe there were some people who were really not aware, and some women who were maybe, just sitting on the fence and just warming up. Now, I think it has galvanized women, and then it has brought it front and center, even to the National Assembly itself. And then I also believe that it has also made, like the Minister for Women Affairs said, made women to go back to the drawing board and to access, perhaps, there are other strategic pathways. Yes, they push at the National Assembly, and now I'm sure they are more determined to push within their parties, within the political parties themselves. So now it's not a matter of, please, can I have, or may I have? It is a matter now of negotiations. They now are aware that, look, we have the we have the numbers.
All right.
So now within the parties, can there be negotiations?
Well, some people would say some progress has been made, and especially within the political class. But there are other women who say this is just mere tokenism, and they're pushing for the real thing, not just put a few women in positions, and that gives you peace of mind to go back and sleep and say, well, after all, we have done this.
You see, I believe that is where the Constitution comes in, and that is where legislation comes in. Why Constitution? Because remember earlier when I started up, I talked about intervention. breaking the cycle. And one would say, well, maybe women are asking to be given things on a platter. But if you look at the disparity, truly, sincerely, if you look at the disparity, look at the Senate. How many women are sitting there? Senate of 105. And you look at the House of Representatives. So asking for, a certain percentage as intervention, because if you wait and looking at the political terrain, and you wait until, you join the political party, you start your own campaign, how many women? How many women can you get there? So I am looking at it, and women are looking at it as intervention. If you truly want transformation, if you truly want to close that gap, the disparity that we see, and if you are talking about equity, and then you are talking about fairness, then at least I believe that Nigerians should sit back and say, okay, can we consider this as an intervention? Okay. So I see it as an intervention for that transformation, like I said, to break the cycle.
All right. We'll take a short break here. When we return, there'll be more on International Women's Day and how to address the numerous issues. Stay with us.
I am more than just an idea. I am alive, connected. I am part of an ecosystem, creating connections within an interactive and sustainable city. I am intentional about excellence, integrity, and efficiency. I am invested in building a sustainable future. I am committed to strategic partnerships and collaborations. I can be tough, and I can be tender. I take pride in delivering high standards. While there may be others, I am in a league of my own. I am more than just an idea. I am beloved. Who are you?
The 157-kilometer Lagos-Ibadan Railway is the first double-track standard gauge railway to be built in West Africa. The Mobolaji Johnson train station is a masterpiece, an infrastructure that is gradually becoming an iconic building in Lagos State. The modern facilities put the station on a world map of train stations. Likewise, other new train stations across the country built to world-class standards. The train and its convenience is indeed an admirable effort, with commendations from Nigerians.
This is a station that we have to commend the federal government for putting a beautiful face, empowering us in Lagos State, not only in economic and political arena.
I can say that I'm really impressed with the infrastructures in place. Kudos to the Minister of Transportations. Kudos to the federal government.
Truly, good things are coming out of Nigeria, and the federal government is deserving of all the applause.
Tuesday Live, a network issue-oriented innovation talk show.
Thanks for staying with us. Well, initially in the introductions of our guests, we had introduced Comrade Lucy Yunana, who had a bit of a hitch, a challenge there, getting to speak with her. But she's joined us right here in the studio. Comrade Lucy Yunana, thanks for being here with us.
Thank you very much, Mr. Steele.
You're of Women in the New Nigerian Youth Empowerment Initiative.
Yes.
We just go straight into it. How would you assess the position of women in Nigeria today?
It's terribly bad. With the passage of the bill that was done, honestly, every woman in Nigeria is heartbroken because women have contributed immensely to the development of this country. But it's like people are not appreciating what the women are doing. And I think I came out to talk to my women in Maiduguri to tell them that maybe the way that the National Assembly are going about the bills for women,